Good, beautiful morning. Today we are going to talk about Ambleside Online's group form 2B. We're going to be using that as well as year 0 in our family and in our household this year. I've started organizing what we need for term 1 for my 3 children. And we're going to talk about how we're planning that group form. Group forms are different slightly from a normal year, why we're doing it, and how you can plan your Ambleside year as well. Now, Ambleside Online's group forms allow you to combine years together. Now, my middle and oldest are going to be in 4th and 6th. And we chose group form to be because last year we did year 4 as a family. This is the equivalent of year 5. While it is more advanced than where my younger daughter should be, that is okay because we make adaptations as well to make this work for our family. So starting off, I'm going to grab my clipboard and I'm going to show you guys how we're doing things. While I'm here, I might as well show you my cart. Alright, so in my 3-tier cart plus 1 basket, our top is our morning basket time, and this is not a requirement of Ambleside. This is not even a requirement of a Charlotte Mason education. This is something my family and I just like to do together. We like to start our morning with this. So we have some of our music note reminders, scripture memory. These are just little, this one's a virtues, the other one's a virtues of God. Our French speaking curriculum, our free read, all of my kids' copywork in cursive is in here, as well as some different geography stuff, also sign language lessons, language lessons. This is just more copywork for my kids and some review of multiplication. Those things are all things that I feel like are rich and necessary to our education. They help us to stay focused. They are giving something, an aspect to that table time that we enjoy together, and they're things that we can all do together despite the ages and stages of my children and the grades they're in. We can do them all together. Second basket is our reads for our group 2B Ambleside year. And those are, I'll show you all of them that we chose and why we chose them later. And then my bottom basket is our science and math. Now, Ambleside does not require you to use an additional science curriculum. We are choosing to use some Apologia books that I was able to thrift because we just really love them, and that is the freedom of homeschooling. Even though we're Charlotte Mason in nature and we love Ambleside, we add or take away things that don't work for our family, and you have that freedom to do so because it is a guideline, not a, you have to follow these steps. So there's freedom in it. So those are our 3 things. And then the basket that was on the floor, that is my year 0 books for my little one who is going to be doing their version of kindergarten. Now, my plan for year 0, this is really simple. I don't even have a checklist because my daughter's going to participate with a lot of things with us. But in the year 0 format, it's mostly just introducing them to stories and fairy tales. And so because I am a working homeschool mom, I have to prioritize what is the most important in the homeschool education. And year 0 is really just an introductory, and it's very simplified. So we have all those books in the basket, and my plan is to allow my 4th and 6th grader to go ahead and read those books to her. So each day they'll trade off going ahead and reading a chapter or a third of the book, whatever it may be, for my year 0 daughter. That keeps it very simple and effective, and it meets the needs of where we're at right now. Alright, so now let me grab that clipboard. I love these little rolling carts because they do make life easier. Alright, the beloved clipboard. Let me go ahead and turn my camera around. Alright, so this is directly from Ambleside Online's website. This is their PDF printout. And what I like to go ahead and do is organize them by term. We start in term 1, and they have it already broken down for us, weeks 1 through 12. They do such a lovely job of preparing us for what we're needed. Now, the orange highlighted on the left-hand side in the first tab of subject, those are books that we have. The only book that we could not get our hands on was of Courage Undaunted. We couldn't get a hold of one in our budget, so therefore we are not using it, and that is okay. So we have our Bible, we own Answering the Cry of Freedom, This Country of Ours, we own Abraham. Oh no, we don't own Abraham Lincoln's World. So we've opted to kaput that one, we're not doing it. Same with Age of Fable. We started Age of Fable last year and absolutely hated it. Which, let's talk a little bit about that. Now, I know some of the hardcore people who are like, you gotta follow the schedule, are gonna get all up in arms and upset about this. But we felt personally convicted that Age of Fable was not something we wanted to continue teaching our kids. It was way too over their heads. We all hated it. We tried multiple times to make it work for our family, and in the long run, it just kept coming back to like, this is not where we want to focus our time. So we have a Dulair's Greek Myths and Fables book that we will supplement in that place and just make it more of a as we feel like it instead of a scheduled read. So there were a couple times last year that I talked about in our previous videos of books that we've started reading them, and there was subjects that came up or topics that I was just not prepared for my children to deal with, and or we just really were like, we're going to replace this book with something different. That's okay to do that. It's not their recommendation, but you as the homeschool parent ultimately have authority and discernment to do what's right for your family. All right, so in the first week, what I did is all of my books are right there in that second shelf, and we follow the schedule. But one thing I really like that makes my life easier with the group form is this is our reads. So as we finish our reads, we highlight them. So that's why we know those ones are finished and we're not doing them. And then this is the science reads. We already did Madam How, Lady Why last year and Storybook of Science, so those are going to be gone. And that's part of why we're also using the Apologia in combination. All right, so for the group forms, they go ahead and have this lovely subject area, and I cannot even tell you what a blessing this is for me because it's all right there. So we have our daily work, our math, our foreign language, and then we have our weekly work. So math for us is going to happen every single day, but we only do school 4 days a week. Another video I'll talk about and why we do it that way. But on those days that we do school, we will be doing math and foreign language every single day. And then weekly work is nature study, copy work and transcription, book of century and timeline, recitation, map work, picture study, drawing, handicrafts, composer. I will go ahead and make a little line to divide the daily work up into those 4 days. And then the weekly work is just once a week or as many times as you want. Even though the recommendation may be 2 days a week or 3 days a week, you figure out what works for you. I just love that this schedule is pre-printed, makes my life a lot easier. And it just keeps things simple. And then when we go on to the next term, it just repeats that same thing, you know, where we've got our books. The books do change per term, but overall it's the same exact format. If you go to their website, you'll be able to find these per the year you're looking for it, when you'll look under group forms. Now, some of these scheduled reads, the chapters are going to be long. So what I like to do is I like pick all of our books out and I say, okay guys, what books do we want to do? And I give my kids the choice. And we kind of just figure out our flow for what days we want to do some things. But there will be some books that you do. Like last year, Robinson Crusoe for us took forever. We were reading that like 3 days a week because it was just such a large book with the world's smallest print. And it took us a very long time to get through. Loved that book when we were finished though, so it was worth it. So you may need to look ahead as the parent and see how much time is each of these going to take. And just be encouraged that even if it's a large chapter, you can divide it into thirds or fourths, whatever you need. And even though this is a 36-week program, nothing says that you cannot take longer. Now, we finished all of our reads because we got the bug of wanting to be done in about 30 weeks last year. And there's also nothing wrong with that. So just be adaptable and enjoy your journey of having such a rich and amazing curriculum. So when it comes to needing some detail, like the reading schedule is really self-explanatory. In this week, these are the reads you need to do. These are the reads you need to finish. But when you get to that subject work, you do have to do a little bit more work because you need to choose as the parent what math curriculum you're going to do, what foreign language you're going to do. So we use something called Speaking French with Miss Mason and Francois. I took French in high school. In college, I'm far from fluent, but I do remember enough to be able to guide my kids. I don't know that I'm ever going to help my kids to become fluent in a foreign language, and I'm okay with that. We're going to at least try, and hopefully something sticks, and then they'll have the desire on their own to go forth and learn more and to be committed to learning that language. Because the thing is that as a homeschooling parent, we can encourage our children, we can set the example, we can even teach them, but without a willing heart and attitude from our students, there is no forcing it. At some point, they have to take personal responsibility for their education and be determined to do that work and make those achievements themselves. Any of the Simply Charlotte Mason lessons for language, they have Spanish and I think German, they're all great. They follow the Charlotte Mason pedagogy. They're wonderful. We also are adding in sign language this year. My children have done sign language since they were babies. And we're going to just start adding in more of that because we're kind of just at a basic level of knowing simple signs and how to finger spell. So we're going to get into that a little bit more. And then we'll decide, are we going to drop French and continue with sign language, or are we going to do both? And then, so let's turn this around. Ambleside website. They are going to give you a description for each one of these of what is expected. There is what they call the Riches Guide that you can also print. And this guide is going to allow you to see what they have picked for these things. They have something picked for us, not for recitation, not for map work, but from here down, all of this is picked. Group form, also they're not giving you your free reads for the year. You are picking them, and one of the reasons why I love this is you can go on and you can look at your 4, your 5, your 6, and they'll tell you the free reads. I always felt very guilty that we couldn't get to all the free reads, and then I realized it's fine because again I was treating it as like we have to do all these things. And even when you listen to the podcast or read some of the forum things from the founders of Ambleside, you are not going to do it all, and it's okay. You're still giving your children an incredibly rich education, even if things fall by the wayside. So go ahead and go to their website. Let me see if my laptop's charged, and I will try to show you guys on the computer. All right, so if you go to Ambleside Online's website, it's just amblesideonline.org. You're going to go ahead and come to, I forgot where the group forms are. Sometimes that happens. Here it is, curriculum, AO for groups. All right, so then you're going to choose your schedule. They give you a book list you can print as well. Those things are all super helpful. This is going to give you some detail of how to break it down and how this works in a classroom setting. Again, we're using this as a family because this is what works for me as a working homeschool mama. But right here you have all the things that you need to know. So if you need to know about hymns, it breaks it down for you, and it is just such a blessing, and it'll give you everything you need to. So for the 2024 to 2025 school year, this is the breakdown of how our stuff is going to go. And each month you have a hymn, and then same thing for here. Where the Riches Guide is, I'm going to try to link it in the description so that I can help you guys. Same with folk songs. It's going to explain to you why we should use folk songs in our rotation. And then it gives you our breakdown, and it is really a great thing. Now, Plutarch is not something that is on the schedule in the group form, but we will be continuing to do it. It is required from year 4 forward, and it is very interesting. At first it was very hard, but then we learned to really love it. We never finished Cato the Younger, so we're going to actually continue with that from our last school year, and then I'll look into purchasing these ones from the Anne White Guide. One thing I also appreciate that Ambleside does is you'll see these Amazon and Kindle links right here, and sometimes they'll also have like a LibriVox one as well. All right, let's see what else I can show you guys. Nature study. This one gives a lot of really, really good detail. I highly recommend going on here for yourself, reading about it, understanding more about nature study. Nature study is one of the greatest blessings and joys that we've had in a Charlotte Mason education. And it gives you right here the breakdown. We're going to look at cultivated crops, weather and climate, and insects. It is recommended, and we do use the Handbook of Nature Study by Anna Comstock. You can buy that book on Amazon, or maybe even find a thrifted version. Anyways, this is going to give you a breakdown of that. I will try to put the Riches Guide in the description where it shows you the breakdown for the whole year because it's super convenient. Found it. Okay. So this is the Riches Guide. It breaks it down by month for hemp, folk song, and handicraft. Absolutely love how simplified this makes life. It's a blessing. Your nature studies right there, your composer study, and your artist study, Plutarch and Shakespeare. Now, one of the reasons why this is super handy is it's not on the year form schedule because they are considered riches. Plutarch, wonderful. And so is, I'm looking for it, Shakespeare. Now, I never studied Shakespeare growing up. That was not something that I ever had any exposure to in any of my education. And I think a skunk your house. I smell, oh my god, I smell skunk. I love exposing my kids to it, but I'm going to show you two things. I got distracted. The dog came in the house. I'm like, no, is it? I hope it's not him. Hold on. Baba, come here. Is it you? Come here. Come here. You're not in trouble. You're okay. Come here. Oh, thank God it's not him. Okay. So we are using two things for Shakespeare. And I'll show you our Plutarch as well. So the Plutarch project from Anne White is super awesome. Plutarch's very complicated. And some of the original stories that are in there can talk about some pretty violent and harsh things. So this is awesome. This is volume 9. Like I said, we didn't finish Cato the Younger, so we're going to finish that. I also picked up at a thrift store Tales from Shakespeare, and this one is not been used yet by us, but it's by Pook. And it just has the stories written out, very similar to Lamb's retellings. So these are not exactly word for word, but they're retelling. That is what we're going to use for there. And we also picked up another version of retellings that I'm going to show because I highly recommend them. They made Shakespeare super enjoyable. All right. These right here, and we will use these as well this year, are super awesome. They are by Andrew Matthews and Tony Ross. They are definitely a kid's version, like where my kids can read them and understand them. Ugh, I'm making a mess here. But we loved those. I found those at a thrift store as well. As you guys know, I'm a thrifting love. But it has everything. We've got The Merchant in Venice, Much Ado About Nothing, Antony and Cleopatra, Henry V, Hamlet, Richard III, Othello, As You Like It, King Lear, Romeo and Juliet. I did some of those last year and loved it. And then we also purchased Shakespeare's Retold. Has beautiful illustrations, and I forgot to put this on our basket, so it was a good reminder now. Also very helpful and wonderful. And Shakespeare is one of those that the kids really love to reenact when they narrate. So if you have not done Shakespeare with your kids already, that may be really fun for you guys. I think that is it for this vlog. Be encouraged. Group forms can work if you have a complicated separation in age with your students, or you just need to adapt it, make your own group form. You can do this. Have a wonderful and blessed school year. Got any questions, just drop them in the comments. I'm happy to encourage you, answer questions you have. And I just can't wait to be back to share a little bit more about our school year this year, what those riches look like. Ambleside has truly been a blessing to our family. Bye.